The disappearance of the ABRI faction as one of the representatives of the group element also marked an era in which ABRI was positioned solely as a tactical military force in the implementation of the national defense system. This certainly poses a great danger to the continuity of the life of the nation and state of the Republic of Indonesia, which was founded on Pancasila as the foundation or basis of the Republic of Indonesia. The original 1945 Constitution is the philosophical elaboration of Pancasila within its main body, which must be used as the reference for legislation and implementing regulations in the administration of the state in building its nationhood. Furthermore, the replacement of the original 1945 Constitution with the 2002 Constitution has now proven to have resulted in a more chaotic state governance and governmental management. This has further brought the nation into a state of decline, and the decline feels even deeper for this diverse nation. At the time of the reform, the Indonesian nation was misled through a public corrupted mind that was continuously echoed by agents of foreign ideologies, so that the Indonesian people became lulled and carried away by euphoria, as if reform was something good that would bring changes towards improvement in the foundations of their daily life. But now, this nation has fully realized that the 1998 reform was essentially a power play and a power game through the deployment of people power for mere regime change. And in reality, it was systematically misused by foreign agents to dismantle Pancasila as the state foundation through deceptive ways by removing the soul of Pancasila from the body of the original 1945 Constitution and replacing it with a liberal democracy system. Many groups and the wider society have now been awakened to the fact that the reform at that time has gone too far, not only replacing the rooted regime at that time, but also bringing this nation from the mouth of a tiger into the mouth of a crocodile. The urgency is increasingly felt in the life of the nation and state for the Indonesian people, as the internet era and information digitization are now massively used to divide the unity and integrity of Indonesia. Accelerated evolution has transformed into a radical cultural revolution with the help of internet and smartphone devices. Today, this cultural revolution is the logical consequence after Pancasila democracy was replaced with the spirit of liberal democracy. This great nation is only 70 years old since its independence on August 17, 1945, and reform has only been running for about 20 years. Yet the nation's morals and ethics have strayed far from the Eastern morals and ethics that always uphold the values of just and civilized humanity. Hate speech is vulgarly conducted through mass media and social media massively and beyond decency. Decency that has always been upheld by Eastern civilizations, especially the Indonesian nation. A significant event 2 years ago in the United States has become a lesson learned, especially for this nation in transition, which is actually going against the mainstream and being misled toward ideologies of liberal capitalism carried out by the traitors of this nation. While Western nations, especially the United States, driven by their millennial generation, are heading toward a socially just capitalism, hate speech, commonly found in liberalist societies, has infiltrated Indonesian buzzers and has even entered the most sensitive issues. Hate speech that is virally spread through social media by mocking ethnicities, races, religions, and cultures is the most potent factor in breaking the unity and integrity of Indonesia, which may soon become fragmented again. Since long ago, such tactics have been used by colonizers to carry out divide and conquer politics. These foreign nations until now have continued to study and utilize it more cleverly as social warfare, an old-fashioned divide and conquer tactic in a new version, massively viralized with the help of internet-based technology and smartphone devices. According to data and information published by digital marketing research institutions, it is estimated that by 2018, the number of active smartphone users in Indonesia exceeded 100 million. With such numbers, Indonesia will become the fourth largest smartphone user country in the world after China, India, and the United States. Business research reports also conclude that the impact of digital technology will be more deeply felt especially in the business world, if the penetration of digital technology becomes deeper and its usage becomes widespread. Unfortunately, the discourse about the positive and negative impacts of digital technology penetration has not been balanced or widely publicized to the global community. Especially for the Indonesian nation. Where is this nation headed? The direction and goals of Indonesia depend on the Indonesian people themselves. Before the flame of Pancasila truly dies in the hearts of its next generation, then correcting the misled reform through the amendment of the 2002 Constitution and returning to the original 1945 Constitution is a necessary step to save the Republic from being dragged further into the ideologies of liberal capitalism. Stop the discourse about Pancasila because Pancasila is already final and serves to save this nation from falling apart again. Stop the drafting of the bill on Pancasila ideology and be alert to ensure that no forms like the Pancasila ideology guideline bill ever appear again. The purpose is to prevent all methods commonly used by atheistic ideologies that are anti-God, which are clearly in opposition to Pancasila. Pancasila affirms that Indonesia is a nation that acknowledges the belief in one supreme God. While internet-based technology and digitization are often viewed from the perspective of economic and business benefits, in essence, they have changed daily behavioral patterns and human culture. The user of a new technological invention, including the development and penetration of information technology via the internet, will always carry a new culture embedded in that technology. Consciously or not, the advancement of digital technology development has brought in ideologies of freedom that will be difficult to contain and will transform the entire human civilization, whose direction remains unclear, but its negative impact on Indonesia is already evident. The revolution of digital technology has spawned a cultural revolution that leans toward a culture of freedom and violence, especially in expressing opinions liberally. The rise of LGBT culture, pornography and online prostitution, drug crimes through online transactions, online gambling culture, and so on. These things are already commonly found in societies that embrace capitalism-liberalism ideologies. Hate speech that denies the values of Indonesia's unity and just and civilized humanity is a threat to the Republic of Indonesia and should not be taken lightly. If conflicts continue to spread over fundamental issues and sensitive topics in building this nation and state, it is not impossible that the nationhood and statehood of Indonesia within the Unitary Republic of Indonesia will soon come to an end. The fragmentation of Indonesia's sovereignty and unity is something desired by many other nations because, in essence, they fear that this republic will one day become a superpower. The idea of a superpower Indonesia is not impossible, as the fundamental capital to become a superpower is already owned by the Indonesian people. Sadly, the Indonesian people today no longer have strong and charismatic leaders. In fact, many important officials and prominent figures in Indonesia are agents of foreign nations. This is the greatest threat to Indonesia in building its nation and state. This is the real test of the abundance of blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the form of abundant natural resources and a highly strategic geopolitical position. Many intellectuals and scholars both at home and abroad can only shake their heads in disbelief when they realize that Indonesia has not yet been able to convert its abundant comparative advantage into competitive advantage for its nation. The fundamental change in replacing the original 1945 Constitution with the 2002 Constitution based on liberal democracy has truly given birth to a new Indonesia and new losers, making the Indonesian people like chicks dying in a rice barn. Despite the abundant wealth of natural resources and a highly strategic and advantageous position, one painful example is that this country still has to import salt even for daily needs. A highly irrational matter considering the abundant marine resources and having the world's longest coastline. The fragmentation of Indonesia's unity began with the dismantling of the Republic's foundation upon which Pancasila stands as the basis of the state. The emergence of a new Indonesia, marked by the replacement of the original 1945 Constitution with the 2002 Constitution, has become a certainty for this great nation. It is also an inevitability that the 2002 Constitution has shown the results of the disorder in the nation's life and governance. A state of emergency is occurring in Indonesia, which is heading toward collapse in building its state. This nation is only waiting for time, and reform that ultimately gave birth to the 2002 Constitution must also serve as a lesson learned for all. It is a note in the history of nationhood and statehood of the Indonesian nation and the uprooting of the soul of Pancasila in the 2002 Constitution and the birth of a new form of the unitary state of the Republic of Indonesia, embracing liberal democracy. Everything now depends on the remaining strong and charactered individuals still present in this great nation, namely the superior nationalist and Pancasila-oriented millennial generation. Where the Indonesian nation will head towards depends on the Indonesian nation itself. Stay alert and rise up. The next generation and the millennial generation of the Indonesian nation correct the 2002 Constitution, restore the original Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution. Wallahualam bisawab, greetings from me, Ahmad Subagyo.